you. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's very humbling. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. We love you guys. And it is humbling to hear that, but what's more important is the name that's on the front of the jersey. And that's what you're here for this weekend. And, my name is Ryan Mariziti, my wife, Kayla. She is due at any moment. So she sends her love. And, but wow, guys, Vision 2025. It's funny. I was back there thinking, well, first of all, whose first conference is this? First conference. Give yourself a hand. It's so funny. I remember my first conference. This was like pre-LLC days. We actually went to these things called coliseums. And you get like really high up. You guys know what I'm talking about, the seats? I was closer to God than I was the speakers. But we were like cramped. And look at this. A great room. You got special seating for those of you guys that have qualified for some stuff. Does the LLC team do such a great job putting these things on? It's funny getting started back in business. I was not in a good financial position when I got started. And, when I came to my first conference, I needed a room with a bunch of people, right? It was guys just to afford a square on the floor. And you guys can remember some of you guys that, built the business back pre-LLC days. And I remember it was like a convoy of us, I'd say about 7, staying in a room. And the bellhop helped us up one day. We had duffel bags, backpacks, grocery bags. And the bellhop looks at one of the guys. The guy looks at him, looks at the bellhop. He hands him some grapes out of his bag. That's not a tip. Hey, guy, you want to make some extra money? Come on, man. We were in rough shape. But you guys out here, look, you've got people helping you in all different areas of finances, relationships. And more importantly, you have an opportunity. And this Amway opportunity is very special. And over the last few years, especially building as a single, and then married, soon to be as a family, very excited about that. And look, it's a progression. Everybody grows at a different pace. And when I got started, it's totally different. I had hair to my shoulders. I had 2 earrings, a tri-stash because I couldn't make it connect. I was all show, no go, right? All talk, no walk. And I had a great work self-image, but I had 0 business self-image for a long time. And then I learned to lock in and get around this community. And nothing happens until you get excited. That's something we've been hearing, you're gonna hear throughout this weekend. You can feel it. Who's excited out here? And being excited for your future, for what you have the opportunity to bring and to build for your family. The name of this talk is being the MVP of your team. And being the MVP of your team is your choice. In our opinion, it's just like gratitude and attitude. They're not challenges, they're choices. Each day you get to choose to be the MVP of your team. That's how Kay and I always looked at this business. So why did some of you get into business? I hear sometimes people will say, to be a rock or a certain metal. No, you got in this thing to create profit. And when we remember that, you treat this as a business. I come from a background of traditional business owners, and it takes a lot of work in the traditional business world. What we have here is unbelievable. The opportunity that Amway provides with access to amazing products and services, the ability to expand your business almost anywhere. And then you have help here through this community. And I remember getting started, and I remember early on hearing, you gotta get started, you gotta stay steady, and don't quit. You gotta get started, stay steady, and don't quit. And I just decided that I was gonna do those 3 things, and I decided I wanted to become the MVP, not only of my business team, but of my home team. And as an MVP, there's a couple things, Kay and I have reflected on and we've gone through. And an MVP for us is someone who's decided to make adjustments instead of excuses. When the mountain doesn't move, maybe God's trying to move you. There were a lot of times where I had to make the decision to dig in and look in the mirror and get my rear in gear. I was tired, lock it in. I had a headache, lock it in. Relationship challenges, lock it in. I didn't ignore challenges, especially the relationship ones. I faced them and I handled my business in all areas. That was my focus. I went to work that day, despite the challenges that were going on in my life. Why wouldn't I go to work for my own family? And as an MVP, we've decided to take action and create personal momentum, knowing that's what precedes group momentum. It's hard to be caught up in the wake of a boat not moving. I used to sit and wonder, why is my team growing? Why is my group growing? I looked in the mirror and found the answer. So I decided to become the teammate I wanted to find for my organization. I came early, stayed late, got all the nuggets so I could take them home and apply as soon as I got in the door. And see, one thing that I've learned is that you have to do the work. It's a great opportunity, but you have to work the opportunity. I was never afraid to do work. I'm sure all of you can remember a time in your life where you've had to work, you had to dig. You call it grit if you want, the no-quit attitude. But every day, this is what I knew. If I was gonna build a team, I had to get out there and look. Everybody in my house was in. So I had to make an intentional decision to get out. I went out every day looking. Monday after work, looking. Tuesday after work, looking. Wednesday after work, looking. Thursday after work, looking. Friday after work, looking. Saturday, looking. Sunday, excuse me, I looked anyway. You have to work this business. You have to work the opportunity for it to work for you. For us, an MVP understands the race to maturity. It's not a physical race. It's not like, hurry up, let's get through all the details. No, it's how quickly do I want to focus on owning the responsibility for the phase that I'm in of my business. Maybe you're in phase A, you're just getting started. How quickly do you want to own the responsibility of the things you need to get done in phase A? Maybe it's phase B. Maybe you're on a 90-day core run. Whatever it might be, wherever you are in your business, it's embracing the responsibility for whatever phase that we're in, and then learning to stabilize that phase. And that maturity begins to shape your mindset to a truly growth-minded approach. That's when we, at least for Kay and I, we learned to adjust our attitude and expectations along the way. That was for us the growth-minded approach. Not just being open-minded, but being open to the correction and direction of the people that had done it before us. And a lot of that, it was me seeking out Tony, seeking out Vinny, and never taking them for granted. The time they both sowed, the hours away from their families and their teams. I was in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, and Tony flew down once a month for 2 years straight. And all he asked of me was to lock in. Why wouldn't I do that? I had family that wouldn't come help me. And here he was saying, Rye, if you do the work, I'm gonna come help you. And I don't see that available to so many people. I think in today's society, there's almost an entitlement mentality that, I'll figure it out, I'll YouTube it. Well, how are you gonna apply it? You get all this information, so you sound overeducated, full of opinions, and zero results. And then you meet a man like Tony or a man like Vinny who have results, and we take that for granted sometimes. And I never wanted to take that for granted. I always wanted to stay in the posture of a student so I could always learn the most. And that's where I really feel I knew I had to separate myself. I wasn't competing with everybody else. You know, it's funny, Tony talks a lot about golf, and I'm not there yet. But it's interesting, when you play golf, you're not competing with the person you're playing with, you're competing against the green. And the more you learn that you're not competing with everybody around you, you're running your own race and building your own legacy. When people say, well, what shifted for you? Nothing. I realized I had to build my legacy. I had to build my business. I had to put the work in. Whether I felt like it or not, it was irrelevant. And for Kay and I, you know, it's funny, she and I were talking the other day, I said, I needed Tony to sponsor me. I don't think many people could have. Because an MVP realizes you have to develop a mental toughness. And being in the school system, I've seen it over the years where we cater and coddle to all the feelings instead of addressing what's not getting done and actually equipping people to move forward and succeed. Everybody needs sugar on everything, and they become emotional diabetics at that point. I didn't need the sugar. I needed the truth. A good athlete wants to be, good athletes want to be coached, but great athletes want the truth. They want to know, Coach, what can I do better? They're always asking questions. They're seeking, like it's funny, I talk about in education, people kind of confuse teaching and learning. Education's a two-way street. Someone's going to teach, you have to take that and do something with it to learn with it. It's not just somebody regurgitating, telling you things. I know for Kay and I too, when we first got started, I think a lot of us may come in with this kind of a mindset, and our focus is still at the high school level, not at a professional just yet. And as sooner we race to that maturity and lock in and own that responsibility, our mindset and our responsibilities go up. And for Kay and I, that meant our privileges went out the window. We had a responsibility to build our business. I did not, now this is Ryan, okay? This is not for anybody else, but I could not go home and play video games while my wife was gonna go to a job. And if your Madden score is higher than your credit score, you have a different problem. One of the things that we realized too is we had to embrace the mindset of doing the work regardless of the results, right? We need to have bad launches to know what a good launch looks like. We had to get bad consistently so we could get good eventually. And we weren't afraid to fail. We became familiar with failure. Whether you're an apprentice or a seasoned vet, an MVP is always earned. A lot of MVPs get edification. Edification is a current condition, though it's not a past performance. The most important thing about edification is you got to earn it every day. It's not dished out forever. Being up here, it's humbling, it's an honor, and we take that very seriously. We want to pour everything we can in to impact somebody in here. An MVP doesn't negotiate the work. For us, it was, we'd ask each other, okay, what's the work? Well, it's 2% mechanics and 98% attitude. We can't outthink it, we gotta outwork it. And for us in MVP, we didn't negotiate the price for success. We agreed to pay the full amount and then some. And there was only one way for us, all in. It's funny, having the swagger of an expert with the homework of a dropout only looks cool to the other dropouts. We decided to become professionals. We studied our craft, we listened, we took notes, we recorded, we asked questions. We had to be kicked out of places. You can't teach hunger. It's easy to be hungry when you're starving. It's a lot harder to be hungry when you're well fed. We were starving. We knew what the reality was for us. Another area that we really found a lot of value in is understanding that we couldn't teach new things to old people, and we weren't gonna say old things to new people, because new people needed to learn the old things. And the older people who are in our business who are growing never heard those old things over and over. And for us, it was staying new, continuing to get out there every day, and it's a new opportunity. So that's what no means, new opportunity. We didn't mind it. Let me ask you this, how much money did you make in college? How much money did college pay you? Nothing. You don't get paid for learning. And that was okay with us. We knew we needed the education. I needed somebody like Tony and like a Vinny to pour into me so I could figure out how to take the information and apply it so I could leverage an opportunity. Now, I wasn't looking for equal results. That I didn't feel like, if you want a guarantee, that means you want a floor and it comes with a ceiling. I didn't want that. I wanted opportunity. And the Amway business provides opportunity for anybody that decides to leverage it and work it. And that's the part, you gotta work it. It's gonna be different for everybody, different results for everybody. It's just like the gym. It's a great analogy. So a lot of times people know the cost of everything and the value of nothing. If you go to the gym and it's $30 a month to go, so would the next guy. You have access to the same gym for the same price, but why do people get different results? It's because of the work, the mindset, the commitment, and the discipline that they put in is what separates them. So if you put priority around something, you should receive value from it. We decided to prioritize this business. Did you put it above your family? No, not my immediate family, but my cousins and my aunts. I'll send you a gift. And I didn't worry about what everybody else said because I was building this for my family. I wasn't gonna let the opinions of people that hadn't accomplished anything influence me. Just because they were older, sometimes the people closest to us, they give us the worst information. Sometimes we're tearing down our house with our own hands. Another thing that Kay and I realized when we went into this entrepreneurial world is entrepreneurs don't teach through instruction, but through experience. And we got to leverage that experience with all those people backstage that have set the foundation for us to have this opportunity. We also realized an MVP needs to keep their attitude in check. We realized that doing the work doesn't equal immediate results, but sometimes, because sometimes you get into meetings or you're out looking and maybe it's just like, man, is this it? But sometimes the ones we're looking at, maybe they're not the ones we're looking for. We also had to understand when you win a game, doesn't mean everything is right. And when we lose a game, doesn't mean everything went wrong. As a matter of fact, sometimes a loss can be a win. If I went out today and I kept my standard or commitment to whatever that was, that's a win. The result I couldn't control. If a team played as hard as they possibly could and came up short, they really lose? I don't think so. Being a coach, I wanted to see that. And we believe that any team that does its best is winning. But if we're looking constantly at the win-loss record to determine whether we're doing well, we weren't looking at the right barometer. It wasn't the number of connections we had. It was the commitment and the work ethic and the mindset we developed along the way. We also realized a real winning attitude is about standards of excellence, and that's what you have in this room. The leadership has set the standard, and Kay and I say our responsibility is to uphold the standard. We also understood that we had to model the importance of this phrase, team beats talent. An MVP learns to care about people and lays it all on the line to serve their team. See, we talk about developing grit, and when I was coaching, it was kind of like, how do you get these guys to develop as a team? How do you get the glue? How do they develop the grip? They have to care about each other first. When you care about someone or you love someone, teammate, significant other, you'll do whatever it takes not to let them or the team down. That's what develops the grit, but that's why the relationships are so important. We had to create that love for our team, that culture of our team, so we could dig in and they could dig in and have that grit to fight back to back. Team beats talent when talent isn't a team. We understood that. But what about adversity? We had to ask ourselves, how does an MVP handle internal resistance and fear of external criticism? You're gonna face it, you're an entrepreneur. The first thing an MVP did for us was to keep it in perspective. We know what to focus on and what not to waste mental real estate on. There were 3 places we could keep those fears, doubts, and haters: in their lane, out of my business, and way that over there. An MVP for us gets fired up, not fearful. Are you guys fired up for your future? You can sit and yell, but are you gonna leave here not just taking notes, but taking action? Taking action with a purpose. I wanted to show you guys something. I don't know if you can see this, if the cameraman can. If you can look at this. No, it's not. Do you know what that is? That's a bulldog. That's a bulldog. That's a Vinny Pappalardo. That's a Tony Pappalardo. A bulldog, its nose is slanted back because it won't let go when it fights. You got to get that bulldog attitude. We saw that in Tony and Vinny. We hope you get that bulldog attitude. You'd hear all the time, it's not the size of the fight, it's the dog in the fight, the size of the fight and the dog. And every day we showed up scrapping. I didn't care who got what recognition or what. We knew we were running our race for our life. There was a time, a guy I worked with, some of you guys might get some of these coworkers, and I was driving down to Vincent April Grody, Q12s, serving their team, and it's a 4-hour ride down, so after work, I'd Superman change into my suit at school, and there was this one guy every time I'd walk by, go, hey, you going to a little Amway thing? And he always had that, going to a little Amway thing, and every month I had to hear this guy. I'm like, well, if I quit, this guy's going to be right. And inside, I'm reminding myself, it's okay. I can do all things through Christ, except try me. and I just said to him one day, I said, hey, man, you know what? You just wait. I'm going to show you something, a check that'll choke a horse. And I had to back it up. And in August of that year, when we went back into school that next year, I got a check, and I made copies. And every day for a month, a new copy appeared in his mailbox. You gotta be a bulldog. You gotta go after this thing. Look, trophies don't last. They break, they get lost, they get thrown out, they lose their significance. In a few hundred years, no one will care about whether you won a championship trophy. Just like that check, that guy won't care 5 years from now. Though I did hear he still may be in therapy. But anyway, the way you fought, the way you loved and served, that's what lasts forever. It's the legacy you build in others that lasts forever. And that's why Kayla and I decided to go all in with building this opportunity. It gave us opportunity to build something that we owned, that we could build for us. Now, it took work. We went through ups and downs, but it made us stronger. We had to find ways to dig in, even when people around us, maybe they doubted. Maybe some friends were getting better results quicker. I didn't care. I loved this opportunity because having access to a company like the Amway Corporation that could equip me to go out and build something, as long as I was willing to go put in that work. And so going into this conference, one of the things she and I talked about with her being pregnant and Warren reminding me this is my last talk before I'm a dad, we started to realize that time is the only currency you spend without knowing your balance. We had to choose to use it wisely. How did we do that? We had to make sure we locked it in. So for the next speakers, the speakers this entire weekend, can you guys do me a favor? Can you lock it in? When your phone buzzes or a notification goes off, can you lock it in? When your dream tank is shallow, can you lock it in? When your attitude is sour, can you lock it in? When you're hesitating to start that conversation, you gotta lock it in. When you're in your car getting primed to shake and bake, can you do something? Lock it in. When you're tired from a long day at work and convenience wants to steal from you your purpose, can you lock it in? When you're doing the work day after day, week after week, wondering if this thing will ever work, will you remember the commitment you made to you, your family, and your team, and go ahead and you gotta lock it in, you gotta focus. The information you're gonna get this weekend, if you figure out how to lock it in and then go apply it, you can start moving yourself and your business forward if you so choose to. If you choose to do the work, there is nothing guaranteed. For Kay and I, this is what we said. Whatever it takes, for as long as it takes. We weren't putting a timeline on this because it may take a certain amount of time to build and then it will carry on. And for us, it's what were we gonna leave behind in our son for him to remember? It's interesting, moving towards this parent stage, you think like a lot of people, they go to work and they come home and your kids never get to see you fail. They just see you coming back and forth from work. And then when you get to become an entrepreneur, and I've seen this and realizing this is where we're gonna be, and our kid gets to see us fail. We'll get knocked down, it's inevitable. But he sees us get up. And he goes, that's what's inside of me. And that's who we want him to look to for his heroes, not the outside world. That's why we take this thing so seriously. We are willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes, because we're gonna lock it in and get the job done. You guys enjoy this weekend. Love you guys.
For the calendar year 2024, the average income from Amway for all U.S. registered IBOs at the Founders Platinum level and below was $723 before expenses. See www.amway.com/income-disclosure for details and the most up-to-date information. Earnings depend on many factors, including customer base, business experience, effort, dedication, and quality and performance of the downline sales team. While the techniques and approaches suggested have worked for others, no one can guarantee that these techniques and approaches will work for you. In addition, we want to emphasize that success in this business does not come without hard work. This is a copyrighted program of Markerman Productions, affiliated with MarkerNet Incorporated. Duplication of this program is strictly prohibited. For existing IBOs only, not for use with prospects.